Congrats on making it through your crash course in JSONs. JSONs are everywhere, and one of the main motivating reasons for getting to know how to work with them as a data scientist is that much of the data that you'll get from APIs are packaged as JSONs. In this video, you'll learn what APIs are, why they're so important, and see a number of illustrative examples. In the subsequent interactive exercises, you'll gain valuable practice connecting to a variety of APIs, pulling and parsing data from them. So, what is an API, and why are they so important? Simply put, an API is a set of protocols and routines for building and interacting with software applications. Another way to think of it is that an API is a bunch of code that allows two software programs to communicate with each other. For example, if you wanted to stream Twitter data by writing some Python code, you would use the Twitter API. If you wanted to automate pulling and processing information from Wikipedia in your programming language of choice, you could do so using the Wikipedia API. Using such APIs have now become standard ways of interacting with such applications. Twitter has an API that is used by marketing companies, along with social scientists engaged in research concerning social networks. Uber, Facebook, and Instagram all have APIs. Now let's figure out how to connect to an API and how to pull data from it. In this example, we'll pull movie data from the Open Movie Database, or OMDB, API. Once again, you'll use the ever-elegant requests library. You first import requests and assign the URL of interest to the variable URL. You then package and send a request to the URL, which describes your API query, and catch the response in one line of code. Thanks again, requests package. Another really cool aspect of the request package is that the response object, such as R, have an associated method JSON, which is a built-in JSON decoder for when we're dealing with JSON data. This returns a dictionary, and we can then print all the key value pairs to check out what we pulled from the OMDB API. Now the last thing to discuss is how the URL we used actually pulled data from the API. To do so, let's break it up into chunks. The HTTP signifies that we're making an HTTP request. The www.omdb.api, that we're querying the OMDB API. Then there's the $T = hackers, which is really the interesting part and something we haven't discussed yet in this course. This string that begins with a question mark is called a query string. Query strings are parts of URLs that do not necessarily fit into the conventional hierarchical path structure. What follows the question mark in the query string is the query we are making to the OMDB API. The query we just made was simple. Querying T = hackers asked the API to return the data about the movie with the title Hackers. The T in the query stood for title. We knew that this was how to perform such a query from the documentation on the OMDB API's homepage. Under usage here, they state explicitly that send all data requests to http://omdbapi.com. They also have a query strings parameters table that shows how to query a particular title or a particular movie ID. It is also worth mentioning that there is nothing special about this URL, so you can also navigate to it in your web browser of choice. It will generally look like this. I personally like to use a Chrome extension called JSON Formatter to make it a bit prettier. Alright. Now you know all about APIs and have a basic practical understanding of how to query them, let's get you writing some Python to extract some data from a number of APIs. Happy coding!